So hey everybody, look, what's going on? Hope you guys and gals are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about my experience today with trying to install my brand new Gigabyte Eagle RTX 4080 inside of my NZXT H510. I know that sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Here's a picture for you all. It was such a tight squeeze. I'm really not sure how I can actually put it.
That guy in a little coat.
No, actually, on second thought, that pretty much sums it up. But folks, like for real, all joking aside, I sort of kind of figured this wouldn't work. I just didn't want to spend money for a case. Long story short, I went ahead and I bought the Corsair 5000D. And I'm going to load that sucker up with Corsair SP120 fans as well. Of course, they're RGB for maximum frames per second and whatnot. So yeah, the reason why I had to get a new case for it, and everything's going to be here Friday, so hopefully I can show you all this stuff by this weekend. At least fingers crossed here, folks. You know how shipping goes these days, right? So what was happening essentially was that with the 4080 installed in this case, it did nothing but boot loop. Like it would go from CPU, RAM to VGA, but then it wouldn't actually go to the boot sequence to boot into Windows. And I've seen this same type of behavior before whenever I was using the Lee cases that we all know and love here now, the Lee O11 Mini and the O11 Dynamic XL. Essentially, what was happening with those cases is that in shipping, the motherboard tray would get kind of warped, and I didn't know this at the time, but now I do for future builds in that case, is that whenever it gets sort of kind of tossed around in shipping, because it's a big, bulky, heavy case, especially the O11 Dynamic XL, it can actually warp the motherboard tray a little bit just by its own weight from just being tossed around and shipping, you know? So whenever you would go to put the graphics card in, you would actually have to press up against the back of the motherboard tray to hold it in place while you click in the graphics card to make sure it's fully seated. Because I think what the issue here was is that, again, even though that it looked like it was fully in the slot, I don't actually think it was making 100% proper contact with the contacts inside of the PCI Express slot. But luckily, everything still works. Everything's fine. My 3080 is back in here. My PC is on and running. It's just fine. So I'm not really too worried about it. At least I still got a, functioning PC for right now, So hopefully I'm going to pick this video back up on Friday or Saturday, possibly Sunday, and I'm going to try to film my whole experience building in the 5000D because I've never built in one of those things, but I have heard nothing but amazing things about it. So I'm really looking forward to it, and thanks to the power of editing, it's going to be like 2 seconds, but I will see you all in a couple days. All right, everybody, so hey, look, this is the right setting? Okay, yeah, sorry, everybody. Yeah, this isn't the update I was really wanting to give you all. Sorry for all the really bright lights and everything. I've been diagnosing my PC like all night. Here it is though, fam. Okay, just here it is. It looks great. It really does. This Corsair 5000D case is beautiful. All this stuff is going to be gone on this side here. I have to get a new table to put this on because it actually overhangs my desk a little bit. But as you will see here though, this isn't a zoom lens, so I got to get up close. I apologize. But it's boot looping. My system is boot looping with this card installed. So, as you can see, nothing is coming on the monitors. So, I believe that this card, unfortunately, sorry, I forgot to do the face tracking again. This card is unfortunately DOA. I saw a fix online to where somebody said they was having the exact same issue, and all they did was they switched to the other BIOS that ships on the card. So by default, it ships with the OC BIOS. I switched it back and forth, and I even tried booting in the silent BIOS mode, and that did not work. So unfortunately, the Gigabyte RTX 4080 Eagle seems to be DOA. Now, how long it's going to take for me to get an RMA on this, I have no idea, because as we all know, they are sold out everywhere. But hopefully Gigabyte might have, saw this coming. It's a brand new batch of cards, brand new architecture, gotta, iron out the kinks, I guess, right? So maybe the new one that they send out won't have this problem. I really hope not. $1,200 card here, folks. I don't want to just have a brick here, So yeah, I'll keep you all posted, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we'll pick it up from there. So hey everybody, look, and we're back. Hey, I'm really sorry that I can't do a vlog style for this video here. I really wanted to, but frankly, there was some time constraints on my end that I didn't know were going to hit me when they did. So that's why you're getting this here. I'm going to go ahead and throw up some pictures here of the build and everything. The new 4080 from MSI, the Gaming X Trio, it is a beast of a card. Good news that it actually works. So that's why you're able to see this here right now. Here's the thing, okay, folks, whenever I upgraded to this card, I knew that I wasn't going to be getting the gaming performance that everybody thinks you should be getting with a 4080. And why is that? Well, y'all are going to laugh at me for this here, right? But I play at 1080p, even with my old 1080 Ti, my 3060 Ti, and you know, before now my 3080. I still play at 1080p, mainly because I just don't have the extra money laying around where I can go chuck at a good 1440p IPS 144 or at least 120 hertz panel that I would, you know, feel comfortable using for a few years, you know. And you could even say, well, Terry, you got, you know, a 5900X and a 4080. Hell, you can play it like 4K now if you want. And yes, I totally could, but just in my opinion, for the games I play, 1080p and eventually 1440p are way more than adequate. And this is also going to make a lot of people mad out there as well too, especially a lot of you competitive gamers out there. I actually don't run my games uncapped. I know a lot of you do out there for the quicker reaction times and input latencies and whatnot, but whenever I'm playing a first-person shooter game like Call of Duty or, you know, Warzone 2.0 or my favorite Destiny 2, I actually cap the game at my monitor's frame rate. So for my Scepter Curve panel here, I cap it at 120 FPS or sometimes 119 because it sometimes causes tearing even with VSync on. It's weird. I don't know why, but it's a thing now. But a lot of the times whenever I'm playing like a single person adventure game or some kind of online game like World of Warcraft, ESO, that kind of stuff there, I actually cap my frame rate at 60 because personally, I don't really see a point in playing an MMO at 120 frames per second. Like I'm not trying to do 360 no scopes in ESO. Yeah, like it's just not the way it works. You know what I mean? So gaming performance, it's all the same, but I guess you could say it's a lot more stable because of the added graphical horsepower that the 4080 has over my old 3080, right? But just because the 4080 is just itself so much more powerful than my old 3080, those that high frame rate cap that I set everything to, it's way more consistent than what it was. And a matter of fact, even in a game like Warzone 2.0, my frame rate never drops below 120. Like sometimes how you have those quick like little dips, you know, gone. Like even while recording with the AV1 and encoder instead of OBS Studio, no frame drops whatsoever. And I really hope this comes through on this video for you all. I really, really do. But I'm going to put up some test footage here of the Spider-Man on PC here. And I exported them both in DaVinci Resolve at 6 megabits per second, one in AV1, one in standard X264 to see if you guys can tell a big difference. Personally, I can. Whenever it comes to the higher bitrate stuff, it all looks the same to me with my eyes. But whenever, like, you know, in my opinion, where AV1 really shines is the Twitch bitrate, like 3.5 megabits per second, 6 megabits per second, 8 megabits per second. You're sort of kind of trading blows with regular NVIDIA NVENC, the X264 version of that encoder, or you know, or like I said, the AV1. They look very similar at around 8 megabits per second. Maybe AV1 is a slightly cleaner, but as far as sharpness goes, it looks the same to me. But again, I'll go ahead and toss that up here, and hopefully you guys can tell the difference here. But yeah, as far as the reason why I actually got this card, clearly it wasn't for a 4K panel. Clearly it wasn't for any kind of, you know, high resolution, high frame rate gameplay. It's mainly for my encoding stuff like this here for streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and also for DaVinci Resolve. Like, I am exporting videos in DaVinci Resolve at over 200 frames per second. Like with my 3080 and even my 3060 Ti, they were both around the same, between anywhere between 60 and 70 frames per second for actually chopping through the frames on export to give me an actual video. In other words, what you guys and gals are seeing here. But with this thing, I'm sometimes seeing spikes of over 300 frames per second on exports in Resolve Studio using either the NVIDIA X265 or the brand new AV1 in DaVinci Resolve as well. Like for creative work, a 4080, like unless you're doing some high-end rendering like Hollywood style stuff, which if that was the case, you would probably have a render farm, but just, you know, hear me out here, okay? Unless you're doing like extremely high-end stuff or scientific calculations or whatever, I think a 4080 is all anybody would actually need. How people are going to utilize truly a 4090, and I think there's even room for a 4090 Ti eventually. I truly don't know how anybody can justify buying one of those unless they're making big money again with like a render farm or some sort of scientific calculations or whatever it might be. But or maybe you just want a game on triple 8K monitors and you're living the dream. And if you are, then I envy you. Can I have a loan? You know, but like, you know, like I'm serious though. Like a 4080 for right now, I think, especially if you're gaming at 4K, especially 1440p, this will be all you need for the next decade. I'm just saying, like, it's that powerful of a card. Now, unfortunately, I am not going to be getting an RMA on the Gigabyte model that I showed you all in this video previously because Newegg is out. They are out. So instead of getting an RMA, I'm just getting a straight up refund, which honestly, I sort of kind of prefer. I normally have really good luck with Gigabyte cards. So the fact that Eagle 4080 just straight up caused my system to boot loop, as you all saw a little bit ago, sort of kind of makes me wonder if maybe that was damaged in shipping, or if maybe I just got a bad card, or maybe the VBIOS was screwed up. But either way, I saw no physical damage on the card, and if it was a bad VBIOS, I couldn't get into Windows in the first place to check it out because, again, the constant boot loop. So there's that, okay? But yeah, so do I recommend the RTX 4080 Gaming X Trio from MSI? Yes, it is a very, very solid built card, triple slot mounting bracket for the actual PCI Express slots. Normally, whenever you have these 4080s and even some of the 4090s, I'm seeing only a 2 bracket mount, you know, to actually slot into the PCI Express slot. On this here, it's a 3 bracket design. So that way there, the GPU sag, because of that extra bracket to hold the weight, almost non-existent. I do have a third-party little, you know, GPU anti-sag bracket in there, but that's just in case. It's barely even holding the card up. So I mean, it is a chunky boy. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very well-built card. And as far as cooling goes, the games that I play at the frame rates that I play them, I can't believe I'm saying this, but World of Warcraft, all maxed out, 60 frames per second. The card never gets above 42 degrees Celsius. I was playing some Destiny the other night. It got up to a whopping 42 degrees Celsius. So like the coolers on this 4080 from MSI, it's either just really good or it's extremely overbuilt, and they probably use these same coolers on the 4090s because this thing is so cold I can pretty much chip ice off of the card right now. You know what I mean? Like all air cooled inside of a completely filled with fans, 5000D from Corsair, all Corsair SP120 RGB Elite fans as well, and even the fans aren't spinning up inside the case. Like I have them going at around 350 RPM. Really quiet, and I guess they just move a ton of air, so that's pretty awesome. But yeah, everybody, thanks a lot for coming along on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any questions about the card or anything else tech, camera related, streaming related, whatever it might be, do me a favor, sound off in the comments below, and I will catch you guys and gals next time, okay? Take care, y'all. See you around.